again.
War.
What is it good for?
Oh, am I coming in?
Yes.
We're staring at you.
That's
Listen
the
to
subtle,
me.
the subtle I.
Say it again.
Oh, that was
Wait, you
terrible.
didn't say absolutely nothing yet.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Let's start. Okay, sorry. I fucked it up.
okay.
I fucked it up. I'm ready now.
War. Yeah.
I think we should just let it go, baby.
Andy's just over there
Whoa.
like Robert
Making
Downey
poop
Jr.
noises.
from Tropic Thunder.
Guys, welcome to the Real Awkward Podcast, a podcast that's real awkward. Best damn podcast, though, you've heard.
Today.
Thank you, Amanda. My name's Andy.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Ashley.
Excellent. Slow-mo Joe over here. Frickin'
Jesus.
A. So,
Slow-mo Joe? Oh.
hey. Yeah.
Welcome to Real Awkward. where
If you guys clicked on it, number
Where we
one,
get
you're
cut
either
off.
a fan of...
Andy likes the sound of his own voice.
Wait, what were you saying? Something
Doesn't
important?
matter.
Probably not.
I was just going to talk about how we continually disappoint. That's it. Move on. What were you saying that was so important to interrupt me?
A Real Awkward episode, it doesn't get going for 5 minutes.
That's how we do.
are.
That's what keeps people coming back.
No, it doesn't. They're out. But they clicked on this episode for a couple reasons. Either number one, they really like to hear us and they're going to sacrifice an hour of their time to get through this dredge.
Big mistake.
Or
They really like war.
They really like war. And they hope that Amanda and I can say some good, healthy content about war films, right?
Yeah, you said.
Yeah. Right, Amanda?
Sure.
Good,
Sure.
healthy if you're coming for the good, healthy content.
This is it. If you want the meat sandwich,
Because
we're
if
here
there's
for you.
anything that the three of us collectively are, it's healthy.
It's healthy. Ash just had cereal for dinner. So here's the deal, okay? I'm going to say this by starting off by saying this first.
Oh my God.
Hey.
What are you saying?
Amanda and I are about to talk about war movies. Now, a caveat. This is not Amanda and I's favorite 1920s war flicks. She may have stuff that's a little older. I will tell you most of mine are modern films. But Amanda and I wanted to present to you guys some of our favorite wartime films, war-related films that we find entertaining. For various reasons. It could be because war's not necessarily fun, but I think there's a lot of films that do it uniquely that we can talk about. She came up with the list. I came up with the list, and we're going to talk about it. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I want to just say that obviously it's war. It's awful, right? We're not saying that this is a great time.
Right.
Most of these movies are full on downers, okay?
Fair. Yes,
I
that's
have
true.
a couple TV shows I want to talk about.
Ooh.
And I'm not even touching video games. I don't think you're talking about video games.
No, I'm not.
I think that
Call of Duty 2,
Call of Duty 3.
That being
World
said,
at
Call
War?
of Duty
Okay,
World at War is
Banger.
amazing.
First one was zombies.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's the thing. So, obviously, we're going to talk about war movies. Some of mine are going to be war adjacent. Some of mine are going to be other
stretch?
things happen during the same time.
Okay, because I went, these are definitely war films, but they are what I would call my creme de la creme of war films that I think will keep you in your seat.
Yeah, a lot of,
Yeah.
I think a lot of ours are going to overlap. I think that if you look
Ash
up
hates
stuff
war
online,
films.
Ashley does not give a shit about this episode.
Feeling like a war movie.
Was this a fucking Ken Burns documentary? Let's get on with it.
I will say none of my movies are super old. None of my movies are from the 20s.
Yeah.
I will
Mine are-
say I considered bringing out a shot glass and taking a shot for every movie that you guys mentioned that I have seen, and I will probably be sober at the end.
No. I think that she's seen a couple of
He
these.
thinks that.
I think so.
He
I think
might
so.
be wrong.
So
I
Amanda,
think you've seen a couple of mine.
yeah,
Because they're probably like not really words.
yeah. I think Amanda went.
You don't know
hers
me
is
at
a
all.
stretch. Mine probably stays in its lane. I'm just gonna say
All
that.
right. Can we
Okay.
get on
Come
with
on.
this? Can we
we
get on
know.
with this?
'Kay.
We know that I'm gonna come to the gate with some kind of weird ones. So.
All right. So Amanda's first one is Haunted Mansion.
It is. No, I'm just kidding.
Takes place
So-
during wartime Japan.
So yeah. So none of my
South
stuff.
Carolina.
Yes, none of my stuff is in any order. Obviously, I'm just gonna kind of go through the list. The one that I saw in high school that I've rewatched is Glory.
Oh, sure.
It's,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I
right.
saw that.
See?
from
so
the-
first shot.
it's from like the late 80s, early 90s. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington. It's about the Civil War.
Right.
It's about the first like unit of black soldiers and
Right.
how they are dealing with being in the Civil War,
Right.
fighting for their freedom, essentially. That was good.
Oh, okay, so you don't have anything else to say about it. Like, there's not a
I
reason why you
didn't-
like it, or
I don't know. I wasn't really sure how we wanted to do this.
Oh, that's
I think
okay.
it's I think it's a really good movie. I like Denzel
Yeah.
Washington. Morgan Freeman's in it. A ton of other actors who, like, at the time, nobody really knew who they were, but they were just
Yeah.
like the only working black actors. It's another one that at the time, I didn't know that this was a real thing, and it's based on a true story.
Oh yeah, because this was your first introduction probably into the Civil War, like truly when you watched
No.
this film.
No.
Oh,
But like,
okay.
I think I watched this movie in high school, so like I knew a little bit of things, but I didn't know.
Well, you
a
don't really
lot of
learn
stuff.
about the Civil War until what, like 7th grade?
Probably.
You don't learn about it in like 5th or 6th grade, do you?
No.
So specific.
I
You know,
mean,
the entire
definitely
Yeah, I
second
don't-
semester, 7th grade, Miss Lundgren's class.
No.
I do remember watching Glory, and I remember thinking that it was well done.
Uh-huh.
I think it's crazy to think that Matthew Broderick is in it
I know.
Yeah.
that I
because
don't,
you think of him as like the funny Broadway guy, like.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think of
and
him as a
I don't
war,
think of him as in a war movie.
as a soldier.
Yeah.
That's true. Amanda, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, I know.
Okay. I'm going to get this one out of the way.
Okay.
Okay. Only because I feel like if everyone's like, what's your favorite war movie? Everyone's going to.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. Everyone's going to say this. Saving
Honestly-
Private Ryan.
It's a
Amanda's like,
banger.
it's a banger. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It was in 1998. It's set during World War II, where a group of soldiers are sent to save Private James Ryan because he's the last son alive in his family. And the biggest thing about this film is that it was probably the first time it depicted war as brutally and realistic as it was.
Yeah.
Right?
So the scene where they arrive on the beach
Yes.
is this movie, it was made at 90s, early 2000s. It still looks amazing.
Yeah,
It-
I agreed.
This movie is talked about still because it is so good. And the story is tragic. It's
Yeah.
these four brothers all went to war and there's only one left and they got to
Right.
go get him.
Well, what's crazy too is they send 8 soldiers to go save these guys, and now these soldiers are like, why is their life more important than ours to
Yeah.
save, this last remaining member of the Ryan family? Is that what they technically
Saving Private Ryan.
right? So I think Tom Hanks is in this movie, Matt Damon is in this movie, like banger stars. I will say it is a long film. That was a 2 VHS film. So
Yeah.
like for you knew that was like Titanic status. But the film itself to this day is still the drama and the heaviness of war was something presented that people hadn't seen before. So I do say, if you're not a war movie fan, I think Saving Private Ryan is one of those that should be watched once in your lifetime.
I think
So-
that it did a really good job of balancing the reality of what happened
Yep.
with a cinematic way to tell the story.
Fair.
Um,
Fair.
But some of the you have to be ready to be just emotionally wrecked.
Yeah,
when
you
watch
will.
this movie.
You'll probably cry during this movie if
Ugh.
you've never seen it before. for sure.
But it's amazing. It's
So
so
heavy.
well done. It's amazing.
I did want to just get it out there though, because I feel like that's on everybody's tongue list, like whatever. Like they're all like, okay, he's going to say Saving Private Ryan. Of course he is. So let's just get that one out. One of Spielberg's best films ever. Boom. So Amanda, what you got for our next one?
I really liked one of my favorite like war movies, I guess I would say, is Three Kings. Did you ever watch that?
That's right. Yes, George Clooney, right?
Yeah, so it's got
Yeah.
George Clooney, Ice Cube, and Mark Wahlberg. And
you would if you put those in any like poster, I'd be like, I'm out.
You-
like, yeah.
you would not think that this
Right.
movie would be good. And I'm not saying it's a cinematic masterpiece,
Sure.
okay? But it's set in the Gulf War, and
Mm-hmm.
it's essentially these soldiers find like a treasure map to like Saddam Hussein's like stash of gold that he's stolen and all this stuff.
Right.
And they're off to find it. And it mixes I wouldn't say it's a comedy at all. I would say
Sure.
it's an action movie that has some weird lighthearted stuff, comedy stuff.
Does it actually have any war in it? Like,
There are some firefights that get pretty intense.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
But it's really good. It's very just like random, like
Yeah. I
Uh,
remember seeing it back in the day, and it's been a long time, so I probably should rewatch it. But
I really like Three Kings.
that's a great one. Hey, so far we don't have any dupes.
Well, I'm trying to. I had Saving Private Ryan,
Oh, sure. Okay.
And
But I
I'm
knew that
willing-
we would both say that anyway. So
and I'm willing to imagine I'm gonna at least have one more that you have.
okay.
So
I am going to throw in Jarhead.
okay,
So if you've seen Jarhead, is that on your list at all, Amanda?
it is not, but I
Okay.
have seen it.
So Jarhead. Now, what's funny is I didn't realize that this was the same director as another movie that I have on here, Sam Mendes. But it's another Gulf War movie. So it's based in the Gulf War. And it's basically like it starts off. It's Jake Gyllenhaal. He was kind of early, I guess, in his acting career.
Yeah.
But it's the playful experience of what it's like to be I think he's scout sniper. So he's currently like in training camp, and then it shows some of their off time, and then all of a sudden the whole movie takes a drastic turn once they're really in war.
Yes.
And once you see the shit that happens to them. And I really feel like this one does a really good job of like the trials and the effects of what happens to modern soldiers and what they go through, because it not only talks about the PTSD of war,
Yeah.
but also, losing your girlfriend or your wife while you're out on deployment and those types of things too. But Jarhead was 2005. I didn't realize it was that old. But that movie is really, really interesting. I would say that it is half of the movie. It feels like two different movies. Like, it feels like the first half is like they're all having fun, being jocular dudes out there. They're sniping and nothing's happening. They're just waiting all the time. And then towards the end, they get into some heavy shit. And all of a sudden you start to realize how much this can affect your psyche. So,
Well,
yeah.
and I think that I think that shows kind of the reality of what it kind of is a lot of the time.
yeah.
Is you're almost waiting around for something to happen.
Well, and that's
then-
the theme of a lot of these war movies is that a lot of people are like, it's fine. It's not that bad until you get into a real firefight or have to kill somebody. Then it's like intense. So
Yeah.
so I have Jarhead on there as well.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. Isn't Jamie Foxx in that?
Yes, it's him and Jamie Foxx. And Jamie Foxx had already won his Academy Award for Ray when he
Really?
did that one. Yes. He was
Wow.
already an Academy Award winner. So
I feel like Ray wasn't that long ago, but then when you break it down,
Yep.
you're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
it was
'cause
like
this was
20 years ago. at this point.
2005 when Jarhead came out.
So
What's yours next?
the next one I had is Black Hawk Down.
Oh, yep, we're doubled up on that
Yeah.
one because I have that one here.
I figured we would be. Black Hawk Down is a good one. It's another one where it's like the quote unquote realities of war. That's actually an interesting one because it is again based on a true story. But it's Josh Hartnett and so it's set in the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu.
The
Basically,
Somali War, right?
I don't know. I just know
Okay.
it's Mogadishu.
Okay.
So basically, it was like a training exercise, supposed to be like an in and out kind of thing. And then next thing you know, 2 of their Black Hawk helicopters are being like shot down.
Yeah, with rocket
And-
launchers.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it very much turned into like this huge situation where like people are dying and all this stuff. And
They're
just trying to
they're
get the-
trapped in
They're
the
just
like
trying to
these
get
city
the
block.
fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yep. The whole movie, after you see these guys like start to go out to like their peacekeeping operation, all of a sudden is just an extraction movie at
Yes.
that point. Like that's
Yeah.
all there. It's just their job to stay alive. So, but I remember that one feeling incredibly brutal, like intense.
That one does Black Hawk Down does a really good job of like not scaring you, but
Yeah.
some of the action sequences feel very real and they're almost shocking. Like you're
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, like something happens. And then that one does a good job of making at certain points when they're really pinned down and like you can tell that they're like we're trapped, you feel that.
Yeah, you have that level of anxiety for them. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't realize this when I was researching on the Black Hawk Down. It's excuse me, Ridley Scott directs it.
Okay.
Josh Hartnett, Ewan McGregor, Tom Sizemore, Orlando Bloom are all in this film.
Yeah.
Orlando Bloom plays like a private just joining the military. He's 18 years old and he's stuck in this hellacious like
Yeah.
situation. So that's crazy. Did you see Black Hawk Down?
Nope.
Okay. Did we sell
That
it for
one's-
you though? Will you watch it?
I don't know.
All right. We tried. I think this one's unique because a lot of these you're going to hear Afghanistan, Gulf War,
Yeah.
you're going to hear Iraq War, you're going to hear World War II. So for it to be like part of
Its
Africa,
own kind of
right?
contained thing.
Yep. I feel like it's a unique one on the list.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
What do you got?
I am going to throw in there next is I'm trying to pick here because we're gonna make it unique. Which Ash has seen this one, Imitation Game.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I did see it.
And the reason I put Imitation Game in there is that though I want it to be like balls to the walls, war, bloody, crazy, intense, suspenseful, this is the first one that really takes you into the psychological warfare of what that was back in the day. Like they're trying to decode Nazi Germany's secret like messages. And so it really dives into Benedict Cumberbatch's character.
He's playing Alan Turing.
Turing.
Yeah.
And it goes into like the social issues of Alan himself to
Yes.
like where no one likes him and his sexuality is challenged and the shit that happens to him on top of him saving freaking thousands of lives by decoding these messages. And they didn't want to tell anyone they decoded it because they wanted to keep the allure that it still was unbreakable. So it's like the whole story is rad. Like
Yeah.
it's really well done, but it's not going to be that like you're not seeing a lot of frontline stuff happen until I think towards the end when it gets really intense and he has to decode it fast enough before,
Sure.
bombs are dropped or something like that. So I have that one in there. 2014. I thought it was actually newer than that. I didn't
That movie
realize.
Yeah,
is
it's
very
almost
good.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
I know. I think Keira Knightley's in that too. That movie is really well done.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. She actually plays a double agent
Mm-hmm.
in that one. I think she is part of the Russian.
I don't exactly
Or
remember
something
who.
like that.
I don't remember,
So,
but I
yep.
just remember I liked them together. Like they.
Well, because they
worked.
have a romantic relationship and then she's disappointed when she finds out he's gay. So
Yeah.
it's like, so there's heartbreak in there on that side of things. But I would say that is a great film. And that's one that Ashley has also seen. So what, that's two?
2.
Two. All right.
Not on my list, but Keira Knightley is also in another film called Atonement. It's got James
Oh.
McAvoy in it.
Yep.
It's definitely like a romance, but it's about like World War One, and that's really good.
Okay. I'm going to check that one out. I don't have a whole lot of World War I movies on here. I think I only have one.
Oh, most of mine are World War Two, but I have a couple
Yeah.
World War One. Actually, I'll
Okay.
do one right now. 1917.
Hells yes. That was
Yeah.
so funny enough. I'm going to let you talk about that one because it's incredible. But Sam Mendes, who did Jarhead, also
Yeah.
directed 1917.
So, I really don't have like extensive information on all my stuff. But basically, 1917 is a story World War One, and when you really break it down to the bones of the movie, it's about a couple people trying to send a message
That's
to
it.
another group of soldiers that
Yep.
they're about to walk into an ambush.
That's it.
essentially.
That's all it is. That's the entire plot.
That's
but
it.
it's so fucking awesome. Ash hasn't seen this one, and she needs to. Cause
I honestly, I would say it's worth watching because of the visuals are what
Mhm.
make it worth remembering.
agreed. Yes.
Because you're literally just following them the whole time. And I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't even really realize it until
yeah,
I think I don't know, I don't remember. I was like, whoa, like this hasn't like really cut away. Like
right. It's all
it just
supposed to look
goes.
like one shot.
yeah,
And I think they truly only cut away, if I'm not mistaken, like 3 or 4 times.
yeah, very little.
Yeah.
And you feel like you are on not an adventure, but you feel like you are on the journey with them.
There's a movie like that. Is it Michael Keaton Birdman that's all one shot or no?
I don't remember. I haven't seen
Okay.
Birdman.
Okay. I could
No,
be wrong. I could be wrong, but
That movie's so good. It's so good. It's tragic. I mean, all these movies are awful, right? Like they're
Yeah.
all awful.
right. Yeah. The
Um,
war is insane. The set pieces that they did for this to be single shot set pieces, they even kept mistakes in there. Like he's supposed to be running across this battlefield and he's not supposed to trip, but he
Yeah.
tripped. And they kept it in there because it's like, do you have any idea how expensive this is for us to blow up thousands of mortars behind you?
Well, but
And-
it also
Yeah.
looked real. I mean,
Oh,
it
did.
looked
incredible.
natural.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome.
Because they're kids. These soldiers they're kids.
Yep.
And he's running for his life, shit's exploding. You're gonna probably stumble.
Yeah, you're probably gonna fall. Yeah, you can't one take that shit.
No.
I will say I knew what I was in for with this movie. Like I knew that it was like supposed to look like one take all the way through.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
I
was
didn't know.
excited when I was watching it because I was like, I want to see where they did have to do the cuts and like see if I could figure it out. But you're right, visually interesting the whole way through.
Yes.
Like I found that to be really cool. So.
Yeah. All right, what you
Um,
got?
So I will say the next one on my list is going to be Valkyrie with Tom
Okay.
Cruise. So that one is a World War II film. Essentially, Tom Cruise stars as a Nazi colonel who's the point man in one of the many assassination attempts against Adolf Hitler. And I found this to be a unique take on the World War II film because it was more about the German, like trying to liberate their side for us to try to get like a German army side where they're like, listen, we also don't agree with this crazy madman. Like we want to try to get him out of this. So the Valkyrie protocol, I think, or something like that, is where they take the reserve army and it fights against their own army. So that's what Valkyrie is all about. And they're trying to start that up with assassination attempts on Adolf Hitler. So Tom Cruise's character, he basically realizes that Adolf Hitler's off his rocker. He wants to try to, and he gets hurt. I think he gets blinded. He loses an eye earlier in the war, and it starts to change his dynamic of trying to dethrone Adolf Hitler. So I think it's a unique story in my eyes. I if you guys want to like espionage and double agent stuff, like that's what they're trying to do through most of this film. So it again isn't like front lines war the entire time. You do get
No.
hints of that in there, but it's another unique take on, I mean, dude, the World War II has been so played out on storylines. So to really get an original film that takes it in a different direction was pretty unique. So
That's fair.
yeah. And the problem with Tom Cruise is that the German, if I'm not mistaken, the actual German army or whoever had to approve some of the making of the film, they didn't want Tom Cruise to be in it because of his Scientology beliefs.
Yeah,
Like,
but he's
yeah.
so believable as a Nazi.
Well, that's what's interesting about this film is they're German and they're speaking English the entire time.
Yeah.
So like, and there's no accents or anything like that. So it's a unique one, but I'm throwing that one on the list just because I think that it's a different take on the whole war genre.
So speaking of different takes on the war, I feel like we have to talk about Inglourious Bastards.
That one's on my list too. And it's
Yeah.
on my list because of how unique of a film it is out of Tarantino's mind. So
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Quentin Tarantino, so it's over the top, it's crazy bloody, all that stuff. But, and he does his thing where he does different versions of history. So it obviously doesn't end how the real story ends.
Yeah, the real war. Yeah, right.
But essentially, it's different groups of people that you're kind of watching go back and forth, but they're all working on their own plot to like kill Nazi leaders, not just Hitler.
Right.
And then essentially they all kind of meet up and then work together to try and take all these people out. And so you have Brad Pitt, and Christoph Waltz. That was his like big introduction to American audiences.
Yeah, a lot of people think that his role is incredible in that film.
It is. Yeah. It is. The way that just his acting, he makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And in a good way. Like it comes through, like it works. And so no, I love that movie. It's really, really well done. And I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino, so I accept that. But I think that this is one of his best movies.
Well, the standout performances by a lot of different actors in that one. I know Eli Roth, the director of the Hostel movies and all that. He's one of the Inglourious Bastards. Like this group of 8, like you want to call them like losers or Suicide Squad type of dudes, are like out there, and the Germans have a nickname of them being like the Inglourious Bastards. I think it was really cool. Freaking Mike Myers is in there. He's in that movie as a is he German? Is he a German?
I thought he was like,
or is he British? Yeah. So he's a British like general or agent, something like that. Yeah. Kind of calling the shots, but like I remember it took me a little bit to be like, oh my God, that's Mike Myers in that film. But if you are looking for the war film that has the twist of Quentin Tarantino, his wordy dialogue, his interesting like take the brutality that is Quentin Tarantino. Like Quentin Tarantino's not gory, but he's violent. Like he's always been violent in a lot of his movies. And so I think this one really encompasses all of that. But Inglourious Bastards, which you've seen.
Nope.
Oh, what? I swear she saw that one. You never saw it with us at all?
You think I saw a Quentin Tarantino movie of my own volition?
That's fair. You don't like him at all. Okay, I'll give you that. So Amanda, that's a great pick. That's a great pick.
I know, girl.
That's a great pick. Okay, my next one, I'm going with Lone Survivor. Did you ever see that one?
Was that Mark Wahlberg?
Yes. So I don't think Mark Wahlberg, that's not true. There's certain times that he could be believable, like as a war Marine, because he's played that. I'm a Marine, I'm a Navy SEAL, I'm a whatever. Like he's done that before. But this one is probably the most brutal film that I've seen. It's on the level of Saving Private Ryan when it comes to like the gore and the violence of it. So if you guys haven't seen Lone Survivor, it came out in 2014. Peter Berg is the director. And what's funny is I think this movie, on Rotten Tomatoes, it got like, I think it was close to 80%. This is the same director that directed Hancock and Battleship. Like, rough. And so Lone Survivor is about a group of Navy SEALs. They're sent to take out a Taliban terrorist leader responsible for killing over 20 Marines. And they literally get stuck on the side of a mountain during the Afghan war. It has Mark Wahlberg, Taylor Kitsch,
he was in Twilight.
Gambit. Yeah. Emil Hirsch and Ben Foster. So these 4 Navy SEALs are stuck on the mountain. One of the Afghan villagers find them. He's like, I think he's like tending to his sheep or something up on the hill. He sees the soldiers and they're like, we need to kill him or otherwise we're going to be, told out to the village with all the Taliban here. And they make a decision to not kill the kid and let him go. And so they knew what was in for it. It was like 200 Taliban soldiers that come at them. What's unique about this war film, it is not a happy ending. This is one of those films where there's no like I actually read a review on it, and it said that this is one of the stories where the cavalry doesn't show up at the end and save the day. Essentially, this unrelenting ambush on these guys, take them out one by one, and you see the brutality of it. Like, there's no saving, anybody. So I think Lone Survivor is a very, very good film, and it really shows the realities of current, like, modern warfare, especially when it was that whole Iraq Afghan stuff. Dude, those guys went through hell and back during all of those tours. So this one, I actually find it to be really not only interesting, visually interesting, gripping, but the fact that it was directed by Peter Berg, who did Hancock. I was like, what? Get out of here. So that's one of my picks. I think people would enjoy that one.
Interesting.
As a war
I
film.
haven't seen that. I would watch that.
It's
I-
good.
I don't like to watch them all the time, but I like when a movie doesn't end how you expect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
It's an intense one.
I'll probably have to watch that.
Yeah. Lone Survivor.
Okay, you ready for my next one?
Yeah. What you got?
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, come on.
Is it Vietnam? Is that what they're supposed to be? Or
Okay, so they are making a movie about the Vietnam War.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
I know that it's not really the right kind of thing, but
it's a comedy on the list, at least.
I love Tropic Thunder. I unabashedly think it's hilarious. I don't care.
Fair.
I think that the scenes where they are just like wandering through the jungle
Mhm.
and like not knowing when these people are gonna like basically bounce out at them and attack them. That's what happened. Like,
It's
so
intense. Yeah.
the Vietnam War was bananas. I mean, they're all bananas, but like these people, these like the people that the Americans were fighting, they would like make tunnels under the ground and they would hide up in trees and they would like surprise attack them, and it was brutal, and there'd be these booby traps and shit, and they like, it was crazy. And so it was interesting to see how a big budget movie would be made about the Vietnam War.
Well, especially making it a comedy, because the Vietnam War is the only war that relatively Americans have completely failed at. So, like, we got destroyed. Well, what else? Give me another war.
Afghanistan, the war on terror.
To be
it
fair,
was all bullshit. Let's be real.
there was a lot. It was very different back then. Like, they were dropping bombs and drone strikes and stuff like that on these, freaking caves. The Vietnam War was us going over there, not knowing the terrain at all, and
100%.
literally getting sucker punched by everybody. And then, of course, they jump into a village thinking they're killing, like, the enemy, and it's just women and children. So it's like, the Vietnam War screwed a lot of guys up. So for them to make Tropic Thunder and have it be a comedy is very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, to go that route. I remember when I saw Tropic Thunder, I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. I was good. I don't remember who the director was. Do you remember who the director was?
I couldn't
on that
tell you.
one. Yeah,
couldn't tell you.
And Robert Downey Jr. trying to be canceled on it and all that fun stuff. So
I mean, that has come back a couple times, and he has spoken out about it.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten a lot of flack for it because the whole character knows it's BS. Like, the whole thing is BS.
Yeah, because he's doing blackface, knowing he's doing blackface as an Australian actor.
Yeah.
Portraying, you're like, yes, like, the whole thing is supposed to be tongue in cheek. So
Yeah.
FYI, the director is Ben Stiller.
it was Ben Stiller.
For real?
Yeah.
That's right.
I love that movie. I love it.
That's a good pick. I wouldn't have picked a comedy like that. So
Well, I got a couple other weird ones coming your way.
all right, good. Mine are, like I said, are probably all more serious. I don't have anything that's silly.
Most of mine
so-
were serious. I have like 2 or 3 little fun ones. That's
okay.
really it.
Let's see. I only grabbed 10, so I might be ending my list here shorter than yours. But
That's okay.
My next pick is American Sniper. Have you seen that?
Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper.
Is that the
yep.
one with the fake baby?
It's Yes, it's directed by Clint Eastwood. Basically, it's about the true story of the life of Chris Kyle, the U.S. Navy SEAL that had the most lethal sniping of anybody in American history. But it really goes to show that some people are addicted to war, like addicted to that lifestyle. He takes 4 tours, like willingly when his marriage is on the rocks, when
Yeah.
being a husband doesn't come first. And it's like you get to see the struggles of him wanting to be a family man and a father, but really war just keeps pulling him back. And
Well,
the
and that
tragedy. Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. No.
That one I remember watching, and it almost and I almost likened it to when I would watch these like crime shows, like true crime shows, and these people who'd been in prison for so long don't know
Yeah.
how to be in normal society anymore. It
Mhm.
almost kind of gave those vibes to me of like this has been his entire purpose
Yeah.
for so long that
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to be anything but a soldier anymore.
Well, the opening scene of this movie is intense. It's essentially a mom and her son, and she's passing a rocket off to the little boy, and Chris has to snipe them both. And so it was intense. He had a bunch of nicknames, like being part of the, because this is based on on real events. Chris Kyle's a real sniper, a real U.S. Navy SEAL. But the tragedy of all of this is that he is on a shooting range with another soldier that has PTSD, and he shoots Chris. Like, that's how his life ended. Like, that's how he died, is he was at the shooting range. And so the whole movie, it's Clint Eastwood. If you've ever seen a Clint Eastwood movie, you kind of know what you're in for. But I would say this movie, because it's a sniping movie, is very suspenseful. Like, there's a lot of like intense moments where he's waiting, for that perfect shot or making that decision. So anyway, that one's on my list because I think American Sniper is worth a watch for
I feel bad for that movie because there was so much talk about it, but then when it came out, but it was all about how fake that baby looked. And I think
right. So you didn't.
I
take
think
it
that
seriously.
it's hard because that movie's really good. It's
Yeah.
tragic.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
But that's all anybody remembers is the fucking baby.
Yep, I know that's the problem with some of that stuff. It's kind of the only. I mean, people still to this day talk about Ally McBeal because of a dancing baby, and not about
Yeah.
how the show was actually good.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Did you ever see Hacksaw Ridge?
I don't know if I did see that.
Okay,
I
so
don't think so.
a couple years ago, Mel Gibson directed it.
Okay.
Andrew Garfield. I want to say Eric Bana, but I'm probably wrong. So I'm just going to say
Eric Bana has actually been in like 3 or 4 of the movies we've listed already.
I think I'm getting him mixed up. Anyway,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield is like the main character, okay?
Okay.
So it's World War II. And essentially, Andrew Garfield's character is a combat medic who is a sworn pacifist.
Oh, okay.
And he will not pick up his weapon. He will not
engage,
shoot.
Yeah, right.
But this is based on a true story. So he basically, people were like, I don't want him on my team. I don't want him with me.
Sure, because they
He
want him to.
won't-
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
won't fire back. But essentially, he ends up saving like 75, 85 soldiers
That's crazy.
without firing a single round.
Is this? Do you know if it's based on a true story?
It's based on a true story.
It is. Okay. That's wild.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
That one's really good. It's
Ash
really
is still
good.
here, by the way, for anybody listening. She's doing
she's-
good. I
it's
will.
all right.
I'll go see. I'll see that one, Amanda, because that is one on the list I have not seen yet that I would want to watch.
And
So,
honestly, like Mel Gibson's a decent director. Like,
Dude, and he knows brutality and he knows suspense very, very well.
yeah,
Very well.
It's very well done.
I only have one last one on here, and that's one that I think Ash has seen, Hurt Locker.
Nope.
What? I swear you watched that one with
No,
us.
sir.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say about Hurt Locker. This is another one set in the Iraq War. It's basically like what do they call it? It's a explosive ordnance disposal team, but essentially
they're like the bomb squad.
they're the bomb squad, but he has to go do these intense situations. It's Jeremy Renner's character, and Anthony Mackie is like his counterpart in this movie, directed by Catherine Bigelow, who won an Academy Award for directing for this film. The movie itself is probably, in my opinion, the best performance from Jeremy Renner ever. And he's done some good stuff in the past. But the suspense of undoing the explosives that he has to do is fucking crazy. The
Yeah.
shit that he pulls up, he literally is diffusing a bomb on a guy's chest, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The
Like
way
in
they
the film?
build the way they build the tension in that movie is crazy.
It's stressful and anxiety driven for you, and you're just an audience member.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I remember. So I watched that movie years ago. That's one where I was like, I don't think I can rewatch this. Like,
Yeah.
because
sure.
afterwards, I was like, I felt so tight
It's so
that I
intense.
was like, I need a nap. Like,
right?
I was like,
yeah, you're right. But that was, I mean, that film was pretty unprecedented at the time for the way it was shot. It was amazing visuals, the suspense and the drama that director was able to pull out of people was incredible. And the fact that it was the first female director to ever get an Academy Award is intense. Like
It
that
was-
is amazing.
she deserved
So,
it. It was very, very
yeah.
good.
Yep. So that's where I'm at. Those were my 10. So if you've got a bunch of stuff, you could just like the floor is yours, Chica.
Okay, let's get started. So obviously, like, I know that this movie isn't 100% all about war, but I've said this a few times on the show. I will say it again. Captain America is a good war movie.
And it's a World War I movie, right? No, it's World War II. It's
Two,
two,
baby.
Never mind. I take it back.
Hydra are Nazis. I think it's really good. Obviously, it's not 100% about the war, right?
Sure,
I get it.
sure.
But the scenes that they have of like him in boot camp, him when he gets the guys to go save the guys, when he goes and saves the guys who have been
when they're
captured,
trapped, yeah.
that's really good. Like, it's
Sure.
all very well done. He goes on like the USO tour, like it's very well done. I recognize that it's a superhero movie, but
Yeah, right.
it's a good war movie.
But he's a weapon for the Americans. Like that's
He's a
the whole
freaking
thing.
soldier.
Is that he's a soldier, but he's a super soldier. Like his job is to go out and take care in the times of war. And so you're right. It is a war movie. It absolutely is a war movie. So
Yes.
I'll give it that. Have you seen that one, Ash?
Yeah, I mean,
I think so.
Okay.
So the other one, I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not, is Overlord.
No.
Did you ever see that? Okay, so it's maybe 5 or 6 years old. I absolutely would watch this. Okay, it's World War II. Basically, it's D-Day. And this like group of paratroopers get shot down and they land basically behind enemy lines, right? We all know that story.
Yeah.
Then essentially they land in this small village and they have to like, their goal is to like, they have to go turn off this radio signal or something like that. Well, this little town, there's some Nazi experiments happening in the town. And really long story short, it's a zombie movie.
Oh, okay.
But-
Yeah. Nice.
It's brutal. But basically, so not only are these guys trying to survive just the Nazis that are in this town, like they're having real firefights and like shit's happening, but then they think they're safe and now there's fucking zombies.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of? When we were at Blockbuster, what was that cover where it's like a Nazi zombie in the snow and his head's like
Dead snow, dead.
Yeah, you remember that one, Ash?
yeah, I think it's called Dead Snow.
Dead Snow. Yeah.
Not that bad. Honestly, I think Overlord is better than that. I think Overlord is a really good movie.
I've
It's
never
like
heard of this movie.
90 minutes, you're in, you're out. There's some
Okay.
faces you'll recognize. You'll be like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's one that I've rewatched a few times, and they're not like Walking Dead zombies. They're very
Sure.
like experimental zombies.
Right. Okay.
And I think
Okay.
if I remember correctly, it's essentially they're trying to make super soldiers,
okay. Sure.
and it just makes them crazy.
Dude, I'll check it out.
Banger. It's a banger.
Okay. Okay. It's a good one.
And then I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list. All Quiet on the Western Front recently came out on Netflix.
That's a remake
Yes,
from
but
the original 1930s one, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also done after a book, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
It's World War I. It follows like essentially like a group of new soldiers
Mm-hmm.
through training and then straight onto the front lines.
Right. Okay.
And the book is bleak.
Right.
And when I was doing a lot of research, this movie was like it's like 8 or 9 out of 10. Like people are saying
I keep
this
seeing
movie's
that
incredible.
too.
So it's definitely one of the movies that I'm gonna watch next. But I read the book when I was young, and I know it's not a happy ending.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm like, I have to be prepared.
Fair. Okay. Cool. That's good to know.
So the last couple things I wanted to talk about briefly were a couple like movies about the Holocaust.
Oh,
And
sure.
then
right.
a couple TV shows.
Okay.
So the Holocaust, obviously, if you don't know, World War II, the Nazis, Hitler, they are bad. So I think
good
so-
history lesson.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's so much media out there about the Holocaust or what happens afterwards, and the people left behind and stuff. The Holocaust comes up in a ton of movies, even X-Men First Class.
Right.
It's all over the place.
Yep.
There's a couple that I think are they're incredibly heavy and horrible, but these stories need to be told because there are real people on Earth who say that the Holocaust never happened. And that's bananas to me.
Yeah, that's
so,
crazy.
The Schindler's List
has to be on our list. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
I think it's an absolutely incredible movie, period.
Yep, it is.
But it's horrible and it's so well acted. And Steven Spielberg, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up. I think you're
it's
right. Yeah.
amazing and it's horrible. And Liam Neeson does an incredible job in this movie. And then The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is a movie that will rip your entire soul out and then stomp on it.
Yep, I've heard about that too. I haven't seen that one, but I know what you're talking about.
Honestly, now that I'm a parent, I couldn't watch this again. I can recognize I cannot watch this movie again. It's two children who meet. One lives on one side of a fence, one lives on the other side of a fence.
Yeah.
And they become best friends. And then one day, the child who is healthy sneaks under the fence to play with his new friend. And that is the day that they all get taken to the gas chambers.
Oh, it's so intense. That's so brutal.
So this little boy who gets under the fence is like the son of like the main big bad Nazi officer.
Yeah.
And so part of you're like, he's horrible. I shouldn't feel bad for him. But then the other hand, you're like, these two babies just died.
Yeah.
And it rips your heart out, vomits on it, and then puts it in the garbage disposal. Okay,
yeah,
it's awful.
Again, it's like you said, it's almost the Holocaust is almost its own genre. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah,
I know it was happening during World War II, but it very much feels like because it's probably the most brutal, like human torture in history.
Yeah,
so,
one of the most. I mean,
it's
horrible.
Right.
And then two more. Jojo Rabbit is one.
I figured that would be brought up.
Has come up. It's come out recently. It's Taika Waititi. It's obviously a different take on World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But it is really well done, and it really mixes these kind of weirdly lighthearted, fun moments with the realities of what real people were going through.
Yeah.
You see these Jewish families living in attics, afraid for their lives, afraid of making a sound.
Right.
And then you see this other side where this boy and his mom is like a freedom fighter, essentially, and she's killed for just trying to help people. And it's awful. And then the last one about the Holocaust, because it's a bummer and I want to move on, is The Pianist with Adrian Brody.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He won an Academy Award for this, but it's essentially he is Jewish and he's sent to one of the concentration camps. And the reason he was able to essentially save his own life is because he could play piano and he would play for the officers.
That's crazy.
And so
I don't know if I
found
ever saw
any
that
value in him.
all the way through. I don't know if I ever saw that movie all the way through.
Horrible.
But
It's
I know
horrible.
that was on
Horrible.
the list when I was just kind of skimming again just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. But yes, those films I would say are all more on the drama side, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like you're not dealing with like full on war, guns, bang, bang, for a lot of that stuff. That's all just like brutal realities of the harshness
Yeah.
of what the Holocaust was.
And then I just had a couple TV shows. Band of Brothers was like a
Mm-hmm.
mini series, I guess you could
Yeah,
call it,
I remember
on HBO. So essentially, it's this group of guys, and they are just trying. It's just this story of they're trying to survive. And so they also made like a spin-off of, it was called The Pacific.
Oh, I remember that too. Yeah.
So sorry, I was trying to see who's. Sorry, ignore me. Band of Brothers is amazing. If you can watch it online, I think it's on Netflix or HBO. That one's great. Also, Chris watches a lot of MASH, and so I've watched some MASH.
Right.
And so basically, MASH is set in the Korean War, but I've read some things online where it's like essentially it was like sort of a way that they could talk about the Vietnam War without it being like a problem.
Oh, okay. When was MASH in the 80s or was it 70s?
I think like 70s into 80s, but
okay.
So essentially, MASH, the episodes I've watched with him, like they're good. It's a sitcom, like
sure, right.
But they do this. They have this way. It follows these like medics and stuff, and how they're like dealing with taking care of whoever needs help, and it's an interesting mix of like funny stuff that happens like day to day, silly stuff, and then heavy stuff.
Right. Did you ever watch MASH when you were a kid?
I would catch like reruns.
Yeah,
on
me
TV.
too. That's my experience.
You know, usually like when you fall asleep and you wake up and MASH is on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'd be 12 years old. I'd wake up and MASH was on. I'm like, okay.
And then the last thing I had, another one that Chris watches a lot that I've caught some of on Netflix. Netflix has World War II in color. And it's essentially like you said, like Ken Burns documentary.
Oh yeah.
But that one's it's really good. And I haven't watched it all and I want to watch it. But each episode is about like a certain part of World War II.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Like a certain battle or a certain thing.
It is quite interesting to me that World War II seems to be the centerpiece for a lot more than World War I, because you would think the First War, the Great War, would have so many more stories to tell, but it seems like World War II is like the backdrop for a lot more stuff. So
I think it's one of those things where
it's probably just because Hitler being a villain is worse than Stalin. Maybe.
Well, I think yeah, because like World War I and World War II, obviously there's a lot of things that kind of cross over between both of them.
Right.
But you sort of had like one of history's biggest big bads trying to team up with these other big bads. And then like the United States has to make deals with people that maybe they don't want to.
Evil.
Yes, just to try to have any foothold.
Right.
And you know, I think the reasons that these things are still important is because the word horrors of war is real. And people died, and I think that I'm curious what'll happen, let's say in 30 years, when there's no one living who was in the war anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure the last guy that was part of World War II just passed away recently or something like that, or World War One. Maybe it was World War One.
I would assume World War One.
Yeah, World War One, because there's a 1917 to 1921 or 23.
Yeah, well, because you figure the 40s, mid 40s was the World War II and stuff. So so you think, let's say somebody in the Holocaust or whatever, like they were a small child.
Yeah.
In the 40s, they could easily still be alive.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe the last person that was in a concentration camp in World War. Nah, I don't remember now. I'll have to go back. And look at what that article was. But
yeah,
I will say, so mine were more modern, mainly because I'm one of those audience members. I cannot go back and watch these old 1930s and 1940s reenactments of the wars, the black and white, like long storytelling. I cannot get into that, but I will say some of the 60s and 70s movies. So Patton, General Patton, that one is, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I know that is one of those that has many accolades.
Well, I mean, you have Apocalypse Now, you have Platoon.
Yeah.
Like those movies are
Ash talked about Full Metal
Important.
Jacket earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a different episode.
Oh yeah, that was a different episode. But you're right. Those ones I feel like those are on the board when you're talking about war films. But these are the 10 that I listed were some of my like favorites. Some of the ones that I feel like tell some of the best stories. So.
Yeah, the ones I put on there again, like I'm not arguing on whether, Apocalypse Now, all that shit was good.
Right.
I'm just saying like these are the ones that I put my little gold star on.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though there are some that I will not watch again.
I agree. I mean, there's also a bunch of shit stuff too that was not good. There's stuff that's been created that like I won't go back and watch.
There was one that I hadn't seen. It's called Fury. It's got Brad Pitt in it.
Yep.
I haven't seen that, but
it's like Shia LaBeouf, Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And, they're like escorting a tank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like through enemy lines or something like that. I don't really remember it, but
see, and I honestly, some of the Iraq current war stuff that they're making, I'm not interested in that.
Well,
I
there's
don't know
stuff
why.
that, like Zero Dark 30 you haven't seen.
It almost like feels a little too real. Like,
well, I mean, it's close too, and there's a lot of stuff where it's like they were sabotaged or like embassies, being taken over, and and right now, like the crazy, this crazy Cold War that we're in with Russia currently, those stories are literally going to be told for the next like 20, 30 years if there's not an actual war that comes of it.
and I mean, North Korea, bananas, but
and Ukraine, yeah, right.
I mean, all of it, but I think that as we get older,
yep,
there will be more movies made about Operation Iraqi Freedom,
yep,
Afghanistan,
absolutely. Yeah,
and I'm sure I think there are already movies about the killing of Osama bin Laden and like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
But I think that like as our generation and these people who lived all this stuff get older and start making films about it, I think that that's when it's gonna be the new World War II movie.
Yeah, right. Adolf. Well, I won't say. I don't know if Adolf Hitler can ever be surpassed as a baddie. But Saddam Hussein is probably the closest when it comes to the storytelling.
Because I mean, we're 20 something years out from 9/11, and they've already made a handful of movies about it.
Yeah, there's been a lot, and I know war films are not always people's cup of tea, right? Not everybody wants to see like, two enemies going at it, or deaths, or soldier,
and I think that
relationships. But
I think that, like I said, I have to be in the right mood for it because. With a movie, I want to suspend reality for a little bit, and this is real.
Yeah, it ain't no Mario.
No.
Right.
I just mean like, if you sit down to watch a war movie, you, in a way, are like, okay, I'm taking this in. And then knowing that some of this stuff actually happened, it's like, oh, shit. Like,
that's what's unique about war is that most of them come from some type of based on true events, because this stuff, like you said, it all really was part of our history, which is freaking crazy. And we're watching it for entertainment purposes sometimes, but it's like shit's real. And
I noticed, Andy, you forgot to put Dances with Wolves on your list.
Get out of here.
I almost did Dances with Wolves.
Get out of here. Dances with Wolves. Too long. It's way too long. That's a 2 VHS right there.
Oh, it is a 2 VHS.
I can't. I literally had it on. It was like made for TV. Okay. It was, I think, with commercials, it was like 4 hours or 5 hours or some shit. And I remember I like mowed the lawn in between and came back and like he was like in the tent with her. And I'm like, what the F, dude? How long is this movie? So sorry, Kevin Costner. I don't think I'll ever get through that. All right, cool. Hey, if people like war, yeah.
What is it good for? Movies.
Entertainment. That's terrible. Where can they chat with us, Amanda?
Hey, come check out our Instagram at Real Awkward Podcast. We do some stuff over there, and come tell me what movies we missed, or if we are overlooking ones. Come tell me.
There's probably a lot that we're overlooking.
I'm sure there. I mean, I'm sure
we
there
didn't
is.
talk about like Mars Attacks, so
what? It doesn't count.
I'm sorry.
Okay, then small soldiers count.
Right? Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about Toy Story.
What?
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the Real Awkward Podcast. Hopefully you got something out of this war episode, because Amanda and I sure did.
Bye-bye.